If bricks could talk, what would they say? 50 years ago, hundreds of ordinary folk paid £1 a brick to build this club. A place where thirsty workers could down a pint and wet their whistle.
A place to build a trade union movement, fight for safer working places, a decent living wage, forge national and international links with working people, struggling against unjust employers for a better life for all.
A place to gather and have fun.
Put a line on the horses.
Try to make your money grow on the bandits.
Play darts, ball and dominoes.
The issues of the team.
The issues of the day.
Put the world to rights.
Meet friends.
And at the weekends, gather the clan.
Build community and keep in touch.
Celebrate new life.
Commiserate and remember those who passed on.
Support one another through sickness, loss and troubled times.
Share successes and stories. Relax and be entertained.
By an endless stream of bands and singers. 50 years later, what has changed?
Not a lot at first glance.
The politics is less to the fore, but the weaving of lives that knits the community together carries on as it always did.
So, how did it start? The Labour Party and Trades Council set up a small committee to look into the possibility of a base for the labour and trade union movement.
A recreational and educational facility independent of the steelworks.
8 men put down £1 each for the registration fee.
The first formal meeting to elect a founding committee was held at the Corby Candle on May the 6th, 1960.
Present. D.W. Cowley, A.F. Tunstall, J.S. Graham, B.H. Bridger, J.A. Crozier, S. Bolton, J. Sullivan, T. Blakeston, T.H. Bailiff. Apologies for absence were received from A. Johnson and B.W. Cox. The acting secretary, T. Blakeston, called for nominations for the committee, and the founding committee was duly elected. President.
Arthur Tunstall, member of the Amalgamated Engineering Union and President of the Trades Council.
Vice President.
Tom Bailiff, Inspector of Railways.
Treasurers.
Stan Bolt, pharmacist and rugby player.
Secretary.
Ted Blakeston, son of a miner, 9 radiographer.
The election of the Finance Committee completed the election of the honorary officers that evening. 1 month later, I joined and I attended regularly as clockwork. Mrs. J. McMartin, the only woman on the committee. There was all sorts to do.
Finding a site.
Engaging an architect.
Getting it built.
Rules.
Legal status.
Rules and regulations.
Members.
Building a movement.
Could be certainly choosing a brewery.
As you all know, the generous offer from Samuel Smith's Old Brewery in Tadcaster was withdrawn at the last Board of Directors meeting due to heavy capital investment elsewhere. As instructed, Ted, Tom and I visited the Marston, Thompson and Evershed breweries at Burton-on-Trent with a view to discussing plans to get club premises. It went well, and I think we've secured an offer, Ted.
Yes, certainly. The Board of Directors of Messrs Marston, Thompson and Evershed Limited have agreed a loan of £7,000 to £8,000 to enable the club to commence the first stage of the proposed club premises.
Well, in the absence of any other offer, I suggest we accept it.
But weren't we going to visit the brewery first?
Well, it's still a possibility, but finding a date that we could all do was holding us up.
And we said we'd visit the other clubs in League at the same time.
Yeah, but these are all separate issues. Can we just vote to accept the loan?
We don't seem to have any choice. And this has taken long enough.
All those in favour?
Agreed.
We're not going to miss a trip to the brewery, surely.
No, I'm all for sampling the beer. We'll ask him to suggest some dates.
There's nothing to stop us organising a local trip to another club. There's one in Market Harborough, not far, and the Working Men's Club. We could go over there one night next week. How about Wednesday?
Yep, sounds good to me. Ted, can you minute that? Is there anything to report from the Finance Committee?
Yes, we've had a letter from Dickinson the printer stating their prices for the proposed shilling a brick fund appeal. And we agree to spending 3 guineas for 3,000 tickets. Lots of people have asked about it since we launched the idea at the AGM.
All those in favour?
Yeah.
Will you go ahead and purchase those then, Ted?
Yep, certainly.
Have we got any correspondence?
Yes. Wheelings from various trade union branches. £4 from the Amalgamated Engineering Union. £1 from National Union of Railwaymen. £4, 8 shillings and a penny from Bezactor. £3 from the National Union of Boilermakers, totalling £12, 8 shillings and a penny.
Well, all the unions are obviously behind it. Possibly we should show our support for the Trades Council with a small donation of our own.
How about 5 shillings?
What's the point in collecting donations and fundraising if you're going to give it all away again?
It's really important that we build up alliances with the unions and with the labour movement too.
Yes, but not till we've got the bricks to build the premises.
All those in favour?
Now then, there is also a letter from the Corby Labour Party appealing for donations to its election fund.
Why not give it all away? Oh dear, poor housekeeping, that's what I call it.
I propose we contribute a guinea to the Labour Party election fund. Once we have a building, they'll meet here and they'll drink here too. We're all in it together.
We are. All those in favour?
Agreed.
Thank you. Now the most important part. Do we have any other business?
There are some damaging rumours about the club which we need to put a stop to.
Oh. Is this the Reds under the bed rumour?
Apparently, the club is controlled by communists.
Jimmy was at a meeting of the Labour candidates before the Urban District Council election, and the chairman of the council was heard to be spreading the rumour too.
But we need to verify our facts first, before, and not get all hot and bothered. I'm surprised that a person in such a responsible position should be spreading such rumours.
Yes, and it could have a detrimental effect on prospective membership.
I propose that we write a letter to Mr. Stewart inquiring as to his exact opinion. If it's true, well then another letter to the General Management Committee of the Corby Labour Council expressing our annoyance. So much for that guinea.
Excellent idea. All those in favour?
Agreed.
I may have been the only woman on the committee, but I certainly did my bit. Bins for the ladies' toilets, a room for the Mothers' Union and the nursery to meet, rules about children and dogs. Oh, we battled it all out. Usually me against them. There was a lady members rule, I remember. It was so difficult, nobody understood it. We could only be members if a husband, or as a lady friend. and it was all minuted meticulously. It was the members that I was interested in and that cared about them from the start. Lowered the subs to £1 a year for those that were ill or had fallen on hard times. And old Mr. Goodwin, when he retired, and I'm one old age pensioner, Mrs. Osnett. They never gave me anything to do, except at the last meeting. It was agreed that Mrs. McMartin would choose the curtains club. Well, that's where I'm off to now. December the 18th, 1962. Our first meeting in the committee room.
It took 2.5 years, 40 meetings in the Nag's Head, the Candle, or the Secretary's House, and 22,500 bricks to get the club built and opened.
Right then, what's to be done? Furnishing.
Decorating.
Equipment.
And which drinks to serve?
Price?
Entertainment.
Sports fixtures.
Fruit machines.
Hire a steward.
And find a cleaner. Uniforms.
Fire exit signs.
Insurance?
Certainly licensing.
Well, we better get on with it. Matters arising. Yes, Stan.
We agreed at the last meeting to order a stock of daily and Sunday papers for the library. Jim Sullivan has asked that his objection to taking the daily worker be minuted.
Duly noted.
Correspondence, Ted.
We've received a letter saying we're too late applying for club registration certificate.
So Ted and I have persuaded Mr. Bugbee, the landlord at the Lord Nelson in Stanion, to take up a temporary one for us.
Which does mean that we're covered until the 10th of January.
Well done. That would have been a right cock-up. We'd have had to have a job to be able to open on that night.
Right, is there anything from the supplies committee, Tom?
We have confirmed supplies from Marston's Cooks, Sainsbury's and Coca-Cola.
And to stock Apple Diamonds and long-life beer in cans.
Any thoughts about takeaway orders over the Christmas period?
We're starting again to go on.
I reckon we should offer a discount of 5% over orders of £1.
And over Christmas and New Year too.
All those in favour? Before we move on to the details for the opening, is there any news of the curtains, Mrs. McMartin?
As instructed, I have been to the Cooperative Society and found some very nice material. Their estimate is £81 and 15 shillings. Shall I tell them to go ahead?
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. Now then, how are we going to celebrate?
I suggest we have a builders' party on Friday.
And we should invite anyone who's helped in the formation of the club.
Let's ask the steward to organise some food.
Can we all chip in, £10 to pay for it?
There'll be a lot of clearing up to do. We'll want the place looking its best if we're going to open the next day. Oh, we'll need to get the cleaners in.
What shall we do to declare it open? Pull the first pint.
I nominate Ted to do the honours.
Seconded.
Yeah. It is hereby resolved then that the club should open for business for the members on Saturday the 22nd of December, and the first pint should be pulled by our secretary.
Thank you.
Cheers!
Cheers. Cheers, everyone.
Don't leave here.
The following meeting was called specially to organise the opening. We've got Hugh Gateskill MP lined up to be our guest of honour. We made him the 138th member of the club when he visited Kettering last year. Trouble is, he's poorly. It's going to be George Brown MP stepping in, the deputy leader, or somebody important from the TUC. Now, Jenny Lee would be my choice because she wrote us a lovely letter when she gave us the permission to use Bevan House as our name. Oh, deciding who to invite, the nearly came to blows, especially over council. We all agreed to invite 10 members out of the donation of the Build a Brick Fund as privileged guests. 2nd of February, 1963.
In the end, it was a night to remember, as Jack Crozier enthusiastically described in a letter to Bob Douglas. The official opening night was a terrific spectacle. Success with a capital S. George Brown, the opener, and his wife, along with our MP and all the other VIPs on the platform, facing a packed audience of members of the club. And the entertainment was perfect. Highland dancers, Scottish pipers, Irish singers and dancers, Welsh choir in national costume, English singers, even artists from London, and dancing to Jimmy McCallum's band to finish the night off. And as a base for union activity, hosting meetings and the annual May Day rally. The committee expected certain standards, and Mrs. McMartin would keep her beady eye on behaviour in the lounge. Members were expected to stick to the rules or be brought up in front of the committee.
Rule 15? Yeah. Would you come through?
Certainly.
So, Mr. Johnston, on Saturday night there were complaints made against you that you were annoying other members of the club and the pianist. What have you got to say to yourself?
Hold the pit.
May I remind you that this club has standards of behaviour that we expect from our members. And if you're unable to hold your liquor, I suggest you drink less.
Very sorry.
I expect you to make a personal apology to Mr. O'Connor. He can't possibly play the piano with people like you causing a nuisance.
Of course I will. I'll do my best to.
Any other further incident, you'll be barred from the club.
I'm sorry. Thank you.
Off you go.
There's no sign, Mr. Latter. I told him, I know I told him about the charges against him and the date and time of the meeting.
What did he do?
What did he do? Wait, I'll tell you. In the minutes, and here are the minutes, it was reported that a member had introduced 3 visitors to the club on Friday the 15th of February, contrary to Rule 31. These visitors have been responsible for causing disturbance at the dance hall.
Well, he's not here to explain himself, so I recommend that we suspend his membership until he takes the trouble to explain himself. Have we got any more?
Unfortunately, yes. Mr. Miller and Mr. Durnin, they caused a nuisance at the hall on Sunday, and they refused to drink up half an hour after drinking up time.
And there was a lady member complaint as well. Remember, Mrs. Patterson.
Well, we'll write to them and tell them to come to the next meeting, and we'll deal with it then. Okay?
Club was also a notorious place for left-wingers to meet Red Square, CND, Vietnam, a Tribune group, Corby Communist Party, and a very active campaign to support the people of Chile.
El pueblo unido jamás será vencido. El pueblo unido jamás será vencido. El pueblo unido jamás será vencido. El pueblo unido jamás será vencido.
What are they up to? They're on about Chile. They're talking about Chile. I thought they were saying my curry wasn't hot enough. But apparently they rounded up a load of troublemakers, looking in a football stadium. And one bloke was playing a guitar, you know, to keep it in the spirits. They can't be stickers.
On the morning of September the 12th, Victor Cara was taken, along with thousands of others, as a prisoner to the Chile Stadium. In the hours and days that followed, many of those detained in the stadium were tortured and killed there by the military forces. Cara was repeatedly beaten and tortured. The bones in his hands were broken, as were his ribs. Fellow political prisoners have testified that his captors mockingly suggested that he play guitar for them as he lay on the ground with broken hands. Defiantly, he sang part of Venceremos, a song supporting the Popular Unity Coalition. After further beatings, he was machine-gunned on September the 16th. His body dumped on a road on the outskirts of Santiago, and then taken to a city morgue, where 44 bullets were found in his body. His wife Joan was allowed to come and retrieve his body from the site, and was able to confirm the physical damage he had endured. After holding a funeral for her husband, she fled the country in secret.
Allende wasn't up to the task. There are moments in history where you just need to seize power, and he missed it.
But the truckers had the right idea. Businessmen looking after themselves.
They were crippling the economy, holding the country to ransom, paving the way for the generals.
Whatever should have happened, Pinochet's taking power now, and he's just a fascist bastard. So God help anybody who's trying to organise.
Militant were organising for a Bolshevik revolution. The workers and peasants should have seized the factories and the fields and talked to the army before Pinochet had the opportunity to organise.
It's a fat lot of good that commie rhetoric will do us now.
We need to work out how best to show solidarity with the Chilean workers.
Well, there's some Chilean families coming next week.
Tens of thousands of Chileans escaping Pinochet's brutal dictatorship and military repression have fled to neighbouring countries and further afield.
Well, in that case, we're going to have to try and help them find them a house and a job. Well, it would be the men that come first, then it would be the women, then the difference. So,
I bet it'll be our spare room to begin with.
hey, what about you, Chris? Have you not got a spare room at the minute?
Yeah, I've got a spare room.
It's so long how it works. There's an outdoors, I'll say.
And that's just what happened. Sergio Ramirez brought his family here and got that job down there. All these years later, Adela still drinks here. By 1979, there was a big meeting about the steel strike.
Can't believe they're thinking about closing it. What's going on? What you know? It's going, isn't it? It's gone. Well, I don't know. It can't be gone. Surely not. Oh, they've got to be. What's going on? What's going on? Wait, had a statement. Yeah, let's keep waiting. That's all we can do, isn't it? It's going to talk. My poor probably the hardest moment and announcement as a Member of Parliament speaking to fellow trade unionists and constituents that I've ever had to make. Regretfully, following a meeting today with senior management of the British Steel Corporation, we've been informed that steelmaking in Corby will cease within 12 months.
Shame.
We of course made it abundantly clear to them that we do not and we will not let our works, our community, be decimated by the cold, calculated hand of this government and the crass, manipulative management delivering what they see as inevitable. It isn't inevitable at all. How arrogant, how maligned that they should think that this town would stand by and allow that to happen without a fight to save our steel. They'll tell you, of course, that it's not economically sustainable, that it doesn't have a future. Those arguments are, at the very least, futile. At worst, they're lies, and we don't accept that fate.
We don't.
We have some of the most skilled workers in this global industry, producing high-grade steel that is second to none anywhere in the world. Let there be no doubt in anyone's mind that this dense, idiotic decision is anything other than political.
Absolutely.
It has no economic base, and for that reason, we, each and every single one of you, must stand beside our combined trade union colleagues here in the steelworks and fight this senseless closure. We will fight to protect our jobs. We will fight to protect our families and to protect our proud community. This is a fight for survival, the survival of our children and our town and of the generations to come. And we have left the British Steel Corporation in no doubt that we'll start this campaign here today in this Labour Club. Therefore leaves me, brothers and sisters and fellow constituents, to endorse the decision taken by our unions to save our steel and to stand proud in that fight to send a clear message to the British Steel Corporation and to the government. You will not take away our jobs. You will not destroy our town. You will not destroy our proud community. You will not take away our children's future. You will not prevail in this evil, premeditated act. So let's stand together in a spirit of solidarity from today and for however long it takes to save our jobs and to save our steel. There's only one question now. Are you with us?
Yeah!
So what's the point in going on strike? If we're made redundant, we won't have a job soon.
Solidarity. The tubes is not under threat. What about steelworkers elsewhere?
Come on, people are getting fed up with this. We've got mouths to feed, mortgages to pay. We can't keep doing this. And it could affect our redundancy payments.
Give us a hand with these, will ya?
Giving out fruit to people we ain't got food in the house.
Right, here's the latest edition of Steel News.
Oh, no, it's Fred.
How many shall I leave?
I'll take a load for when I'm delivering food parcels.
The coach to London leaves here, so leave some and I'll hand them out the demo tomorrow.
We need some on the stall as well.
Okay. And the theatre are doing their play Steel tomorrow. They'd like as many people as possible to come.
What bloody good will that do? This is real life, not a dress rehearsal.
Well, it'll help to raise awareness and spirits too. I've seen them practicing and they're very good. And they've got some very funny songs.
Solidarity, you see. They're helping us out. They're writing our story.
Well, I hope they put in about that old lady Frank used to pass around to last week. On her own, no family. We just heard she killed herself. She pulled the electric fire in the back of her. But don't just stand there. Get packing.
Before you go in, what's going to be your message? Oh, no, it's still further. No further.
Save our steel! Save our steel! Save our steel!
I would like to introduce you to Peter McGowan and some of the steel men who marched all the way from Corby to London in order to save our steel. Peter McGowan.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I take this opportunity on behalf of the marchers and Rosac to thank you for this very warm welcome that you've given us here on reaching our destination here in London. We are here for one purpose. That purpose is to make the parliamentarians across the road hear our case.
Well, the point of the march this morning is the final resolve and final show of strength by the people to try and persuade the British Steel Corporation by a show of strength that the policies are wrong and they should change their mind and reconsider their attitude to closure.
Save our steel!
Save our steel! Save our steel! Save our steel! Maggie, Maggie, Maggie! Out, out, out!
What are you doing here? Why don't you get back to Granville and sell beans, you old fart?
Thank you for that very warm welcome. This is the first demonstration I have ever been on, and I can assure you it will be my last. And there's if I have anything to do with it. What is all this yelling and shouting and placard waving meant to achieve? Save our steel!
Save our steel!
Notice? But we do begin. Who wants to work in heavy industry? We do! When we can leave that to the men overseas and import what we need.
What's wrong with British steel?
We promise to give you new jobs, key jobs, flexible jobs. So you're not convinced? You say you'll go on fighting? Yes! Very stirring stuff. But you voted for me in my government. Oh, yes, you did. Oh, yes, you did. So, let's get rid of these dinosaurs and finish the work of my predecessors, the Labour government. Make way for the future!
Save our steel! 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 Save our steel!
help you with you all. You'll soon find another job.
Meanwhile, back in Red Square, the campaigns that were plotted in the 80s and the lessons we learned from the steel strike handed on to others.
They should go back. They're playing right into Thatcher's hands.
Well, Scargill's going to sail them down the river, that's for sure.
The police tactics have to be seen to be believed. I was on a flying picket down in Kent, and I'm sure they're soldiers, not police. It was a military operation.
Well, I had somebody saying, that's what you get for holding the country to ransom, and I thought, I think he should be down the hill in the other club with the Tories.
Maggie's trying to break the miners, and then he'll be the dockers, and it started with us, the steel workers. It's not about coal, it's about power.
He's out collecting every night for the miners. First thing I knew about it was I went to get some food out of the cupboard. It was empty.
Do you know what? He's the same. Bear needs more than ours at the minute. That's all he says.
Yeah, we tried saying that to the kids. But I've got to say, you know, when we were on strike, I was at Edward strike, they took the kids down Rodder, didn't they?
Oh, that reminds me. I've had a letter from the Miners' Way support group in Castleford, West Yorkshire. Sitting board down next weekend.
Read it, eh?
Could you hold with us? Right. Dear sisters, you'll be very welcome to come and talk to us about how you have survived since the closure of the steelworks. We are having a do next Saturday, and it looks like both Grass Oughton and Lexton Lockpicks are on the hit list for closure. Thanks for your support, your kind donations. We are taking the kids to Scarborough on a trip with the money, in solidarity. Susan Perry, Secretary of Castleford Miners Support Group. So, ladies, we better practice what we're going to say.
Better. Well, I hope the miners realise that redundancy pay, no matter how many notes you put on the end of it, runs out eventually, and you're left with nothing, no industry and no future.
In the 90s, it was not unusual to host a walkout as part of a wildcat strike.
Ah, yes, 3 day off on the
Another walkout.
I could spend all day doing that.
Yeah, it's not about drinking, come on.
I know, I feel bad for Australia.
South Africa, you idiot.
South Africa, Australia, same place.
It's totally wrong about this description.
Yeah, we hate the apartheid or party or whatever.
You don't even know what it is.
Why do you
Nelson Mandela!
Hey!
Listen, Jesus, I need that, lads, I'll tell you what. Listen, before we start, I just want to say a huge thanks for all the support and the solidarity.
And thanks for the day off. Yeah!
Listen, before we start, let's just say, management have agreed to reinstate me.
Yeah!
Yeah. But listen, it's not about me. It's not about me. It's what's happening in South Africa. We've got to stop this fascist regime. We've got to keep focused. And what we've also got from management is that there'll be no further tubes going in or out of the tube works to South Africa. We've got to play our part.
And any musicians touring there?
Oh, Jesus
Elkie
Christ,
Brooks is on
Babs,
at the
for
Civic
God.
this weekend, and I've got a ticket, so leave her alone.
Well, the situation is quite clear. If Elkie Brooks decides to go off to South Africa, we'll blockade the entrance. It's as simple as that.
You ruin my night out. I'll not serve you a pint next time you come in.
Jesus Christ, Bebs, I don't know. Listen, didn't you get a free ticket anyway? And anyway, if you really, really want to win, you have a go at the council here. And the council leaders for allowing her to go in. Against, I might add, Labour Party policy on South Africa. Now give us that pint, come on.
Yeah, you!
You did it!
They played it for a week or so on the local radio. It never made it. She wanted to be Fancy Graver.
So, what happened?
They did blockade in the end. I'm off.
It wasn't politics, and it wasn't all politics and no play. We had an endless stream of bands and singers, dances every Saturday night. We had, you know what, we had a piano room and a library. Oh yeah, the library. Tell you what, a thing or two was learnt in there, and it wasn't all book learning, I can tell you that. It was a well-known place for an illicit encounter. It wasn't called the Snug for nothing. Oh, we had some fantastic sing-songs around the piano. One I can remember in particular.
Forget your troubles, come on, get happy. Give energy all you can. So hallelujah, come on, get happy. Get ready for the judgment day.
Get the candles, Jane!
How about you play something that we all know?
Well, what about my old man?
So, how are things nowadays? Skin, that's how. Fewer people come to the clubs now. It's the same with all of them.
Who wants to come out in the cold and pay $2.50 for a pint when they can sit at home with a cheap beer from a supermarket and a fag in their hand if they really want to?
Mind you, members are dying too. The youngsters aren't replacing them. Time was when father and son were both members. But the youngsters would rather pay through the nose for a pint of some trendy bar.
Let's face it, Workers' Man Club needs working men. And the jobs are different too. It was dangerous down the work. You have to be able to trust the people you work with. You don't build that sort of camaraderie up working in a warehouse getting bossed about.
We used to bring these funerals, put on buses for funerals for members that died. But we couldn't afford it anymore. There was only 1 or 2 using the bus. Couldn't do it anymore. Just couldn't do it.
And it's true, politics is less to the fore. The committee's not what it used to be. The perks are all gone. You can't even get to pay committee men from the bandits anymore. You can't get people to join. It's left to the odd one or two. You still get hauled up in front of the committee though. Rules are rules.
Mind you, the women's rule finally changed. Yes, since 2007 we can be members in our own right. Do you know what? Regular as clockwork, we would challenge the women's rule, and we had a right celebration when we heard. Cheers, ladies. Look what I saw on the
Maureen,
paper today.
stop down here. We've got memberships.
Yeah, we've got membership all right. We've got to have our own cards now, and they're 15 quid instead of 2 quid.
The Labour Party is still based here. still the same as the old days in election, especially the last by-election. Everybody came to Corby. The Millibands were here. Ed didn't come in, mind. But David, now he's the man of the people before he went from America. He came down and he had a cup of tea with the staff. His minder, he was a Scottish lad, he came in with him and then he heard that we were having a roll and a square slice and he said, can I have one of those? And he says, do you do iron brew? It's like, I mean, please, for God's sake. Hello? Oh, how are you doing? Yeah, we're doing well. We just come out. Oh my sweet. Yeah, we've just come back for a quick cup of coffee. Have you been out to vote? What do you mean you haven't got time to vote? Women would throw themselves in front of bloody horses and kill themselves so that people like you could vote. No, I can't come and fetch you. You only live 5 minutes away from the polling station. I'm driving somebody around, you know. Just get here. Okay.
We have changed, yeah, so do it today, yeah, 'cause I can see your paper around there. What have we done today to make it feel right, yeah? Let me hear, let me hear, let me hear. So what have we done today to make you feel right? Yeah, yeah, yeah. 'Cause you could be so many.
Yes, the club's always had a games room. Yes, the club's always had a games room and carpet bowls. We even had someone who played for Scotland. We had a great time with the 50th Sports Challenge, playing dominoes, darts, pool. We even had a comedian from Radio 4. We got a mention on Boxing Day, no less.
How is that not 2 shots? You hit my ball, right? And you got it. You need to sort yourself out. Let's go! Let's fucking go! Yeah!
Get on. Right, get on. Go that way. Get her up in front of the committee. They won't tolerate that in this club.
That's why I love Tuesday. It's the women's darts day. Look at that.
What's he doing here? It's dinner time.
He comes to see what his missus gets up to on our women's darts night. Says he's the mascot.
I know what I would do with him.
You look a bit ready to pop. Get some soup, love.
6 weeks to go. You won't be able to play darts once the baby comes.
I will when he comes. What? When he won't even tie your shoelaces, were you very that big? Yeah, right.
Sheila played for 30 years, and my mum played as well. Having a kid isn't going to stop me.
Do you know what? If you add it all together, you lot have played for centuries, and Betty and Anne are really good.
You're only as good as you play on the night. I'm not out for that.
Oh, you feeling tired, Anne?
Look, he's over there. I hate it. It's mean. Disgusting. I've been on the bar all night. That's a big shirt. Anyone want these?
I'll tell you what. Don't give in to that lot, because the teeth's still in the bag. Yeah.
Thank you. That's because she's been spitting in the mixture.
It was supposed to be one big tip, but I couldn't find the cake tip.
Who won? Do you really need to ask?
Well, 5 fruits a day, 3 wins the season.
The mascot.
He did put them off. Do you know what I might do? Seeing how I made them, I think we'll make to this if I even say so myself.
Dean, that soup was amazing. Did you make it yourself?
It was lovely, thank you very much. Do you know what? You men take it too seriously.
Me? I thought you were a transvestite team.
Well, now do you see why she's done with a big smile on her face?
Is you the transvestite team?
Yeah.
Is that so? I'm not surprised. Do you know what? You'd be surprised at the stories this one can tell you. The lives they've lived, the jobs they've done. The world just wouldn't be the same without them. But they're not all what they seem. Maggie and Ian over there, they're two of our oldest members. Joe, he's met her from work every day. She's the cook at our daughter's nursery next door. Mind you, she's done loads of different jobs. They came down in the 60s and both got jobs in the works. Tubeside. She was a checker. Money for all rope, she says. But she's done loads of jobs. She used to organise the tatty pickers to get them a better deal. Do you know what? They're a really old-fashioned couple. He's tipped his wages up from the word go, and she makes sure he has what he needs. She holds the purse strings. Sometimes I wish she held mine. Because somehow, they managed to go abroad twice a year. And I'm not on about the Costa Karaoke either. I'm on about the Caribbean, Thailand. Do you know what? She did say that she cleaned house once for the governor, a friend of the governor of the Bank of Thailand. And that's why when they got there, they were treated like royalty. His wife picked them up in a limousine, showed them a tour, showed them riches and the poverty. He says he likes the boxing the best. He says the people were kind. Do you know what? She says she liked the beautiful lady boys, but she never knew which ones they were. Anyway, I've got enough work to do. You lot can tell your own stories.
Well, me, I'm Bob. Mechanic. Man, a few words. Nothing to watch on the telly. I only really like documentaries. I always sit here, catch up with my brother. So I see. Bar staff sit there, councillors, old people. I remember when this place was built. Fields all around where we used to play. Catch rabbits. Mum used to cook them. Poaching was common. Venison pie, rabbit stew. None of these buildings. We lived over the road. Local. I'm English. Local. Wife's dad was born in Tunwell Lane. There were only 3 houses. There was a locomotive driving from the works. My dad moved from Ketton in the 50s. The difference, we talked to each other in Corby. This place, our local. Women used to only be able to come in with their partners. Never really agreed with that myself. I know it was a man's club, but it's better now women can join in their own right.
Fuck off!
What?
Good for decoration.
My Eric would never say things like that.
Yeah, well, he's from Yorkshire.
And I'll tell you, I found you lot well hard to understand when I moved down here at first. I felt like a foreigner. It was right confrontational.
We did live in New Cumnock near Ayr, where I'm from, but that isn't Glasgow.
So where did you two love better to meet then?
Well, I went with auntie and uncle, and we went to bingo in a pub one night and he turned along. There was me, my first husband, him and auntie and uncle. My husband left early. Typical. Marriage and convenience, never loved him. Only married him out the house. On the way home, we kissed in the barn. And then we decided that we were going to start seeing each other behind his back. And every day we meet up, I tell my husband I was going to swap knitting patterns with Morag from across the road, but I wasn't. Then we came to Corby in 1982. His brother and sister were members here.
I was a mountain work miner from Barnsley. I went from the pit to the coke ovens, did all sorts of jobs. Farming, cleaning, now I work at RPC Containers as a manual handler. It's right heavy work. I work continental shifts. Can't wait for retirement.
This has been our local since we came to Corby. I feel comfy coming in here on my own.
I used to play darts on a Wednesday for the club.
There was jam-packed in here at the weekends. You had to be here by 6:30 just to get a seat. That's long gone now.
But folk were right, look, nice.
Yeah, and if you're poorly, people say sorry to hear about that.
I learned to hug at the club.
What are you on about?
Well, it was when you had 3 or 4 folk with cancer, and there was this one lady, and she was right down. So I asked her what was wrong, and she told me. People started avoiding her. So I just gave her a hug and said, can't one in the garden. 2 minutes after we moved out, the bastards cut it down.
What's your story?
I ain't got one.
What are you looking at?
Go!
What? My story? Well, me and all my mates joined this, well, because of our dads, really. We all joined and got our membership as soon as we turned 18. It's dead friendly here. You sit anywhere and there's always conversation. Unlike a pub, you're always on edge in case stuff kicks off. So what do I love about here? Beer's cheap, pool table's only 50p. Can't go wrong. Me and all my mates meet up here before we go on a pub crawl about 10 o'clock. Such a shame clubs are closing. Once they're gone, they're gone. And the way of life with it.
The barrel's gone up in a minute. We're very versatile as barmaids, you know. Cleaners, counsellors, social workers, paramedics. Do you know what? If somebody has an accident in here, suddenly everyone's a first aider. I have to remind them I'm the sober one. Still, there's a big heart in these people behind the booze and bluster. Stand by one another, and they're always ready to raise money for a charity or for somebody who's fallen on hard times. Anyway, going back, I'm off. It's Friday night, members' night, bingo, quiz, karaoke.
Hey, doll! You want me to be your toy boy?
Look at you, you big fat fucker.
Yeah!
Will I be your toy boy? You've got nothing left to toy with.
Okay, eyes down. £10 a line, £34 a house. Big money tonight. Okay, first number. On its own. Number 1. All the sixes, 66.
Take them up.
Your numbers aren't even in there. Unlucky for some, 13. All the ones, legs 11. Top of the shop, blind 90. 2 little ducks, 22. Anyway up, 69.
Right. So you were saying you used to live in Corby?
Yeah, just down the road. This was the local for the family.
Well, has it changed much while you've been away?
Yes and no.
Do you remember it? Do you think it was like it was when we were? Do you remember?
There wasn't karaoke in those days, so...
What did this have instead?
There was a piano in the bar, and someone would say, "Give us a song, Mary," and up she'd get.
Yes, there were the regs that used to come and sing the same old songs. Penny Walker, Nancy Noble.
She had a lovely voice. What was the pianist called?
Martin O'Connor.
He could play anything anyone wanted to sing.
Can you sing Big Roses?
This one?
I realize the way your eyes decide with tender looks that I mistook for love. So take away the flowers that you gave me and send the kind that you remind me of. wear this long skirt, they think they've got bottomed up to here.
I was the opposite, the mini skirt and the belly top.
And they have live bands. My uncle's in loads of bands. Even has a drum kit.
I remember our mum. She used to clean on Saturday morning. I used to come up. Drum kit used to be sitting there. I can still remember that.
Did you ever have a go?
No.
I did, crashing around thinking I was Ringo Starr.
Oh, for God's sake. Did you ever come to the New Year where they had all the bands? They used to swap, Mick Harper and all them used to swap each other's songs. They used to do that. Did you ever do that?
Yeah, I did. I with my family every year.
Tradition, yeah.
A big husband-aid jam session.
Happy days, eh? Happy days, guys. Happy days.
All right, we have a slight problem with the quiz. We've got a couple of smokers holding it up. So what we're going to do is we're going to warm up the karaoke machine. And we've got a lovely young lady here who's never done it before, so she tells me. Come on, Ellie.
I go back.
they've smartened it up, got rid of all that smoke and grime. You know, they were really lucky to get that grant from Wren, that big grant. Oh, I can't remember, but it was a good bit, and they've made a good job of it. They hoped to increase the bookings, you know. Doesn't seem to have done. But, well, pubs and clubs are having trouble all over, aren't they? I mean, let's face it, ranges have closed. Yeah. Oh, hang on, I've lost a stitch.
Oh. That's the food for tomorrow's funeral done. Do you know what? That's the third this week. And they're getting younger. Billy the only week. He was only 52. It's no age to be dying. Still, it's the wigs that keep you afloat. Another couple. Not that the Sarah paid for.
Oh, good. Yeah, well, that's good news, you know. There's a lot of drinking going on at wakes, and you need something to keep you afloat. Once they've got that stair lifted and working, we're going to be able to get back upstairs with our older people, the ones that can't get up there.
Well, it won't take many more, will it?
Oh, I suppose it's time we went home.
Hi guys, is that you done for the night?
Yeah, I've switched the heat off.
Oh,
okay.
Night.
Night.
Ta-da.
Hi. Hi there. Is the entertainment secretary in?
Brian, you mean?
Yeah.
No, he's not around. Can I help at all?
Well, I'm seeing him here later on.
Oh, at the charity do?
Yes.
Oh, right. I know your face.
Well,
What's your name?
my name's Corrie Gray.
Ah, I remember you. Yeah, I remember you. Years ago.
That's right, yes. This is about 40 years. I started off in the Lights of Witch, actually.
Oh, you
and
used
then
to
there was
sing.
Eurasia Visions and all of that we played here before.
You used to sing with Pat Levin. Honey.
Correct.
Gosh, I didn't know you were still singing. Gosh,
Yeah.
you're great.
I'm a solo act. Yeah, I do a Tina Turner tribute.
Ah, yeah. You look good.
Thank you.
Good. Where are the others?
Well, I don't work with other people anymore now. It's less hassle. I just sing on my own.
Great, fantastic.
So where do I get
They're
changed?
just from there, same as before.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Thank you very much.
Yes, we're very posh in here.
Looks like they've had a makeover for a change. Great. Clean room for once. I tell you what, the places I've changed in. Smelly, stinking, dirty toilets. Hanging my costumes up like that. You know. You know, they expect us to look like $1 million. And they don't even realise what we need backstage. Simple things. No. Simple things. Well, get the shoes out. A well-lit mirror. You know, a well-lit mirror in a reasonable place. Reasonable height. No. Nothing. Another. Oh yes, it's up there. Have to be about 6 foot tall to look at that. Never mind. I just bring my own stuff now. You know? Oh, God. Yes. That's why I get changed at home nowadays, you know. Because at least I know what I could look like. So there you go. Ah, chilly in here. Oh, it's chilly in here, but never mind. Do you know what? I feel like Mary Poppins bringing all this bloody stuff out every time I come to a gig. There I am.
I remember when I first did my first stage. I was only 17. There was a time, before that, at least you could have a cigarette, you know, to calm your nerves down. But not anymore, since the smoking ban came into action. I was singing at the Grantham Club. It was so funny. At the end of the night, the barmaid was just collecting all these ashtrays, throwing them into a bin. That's a bit odd. You just wipe them, there you go. And she was throwing them into the bin, and I said, what are you doing that for? And she said, well, don't you realise the smoking ban comes in tomorrow? And off she went. And I thought, oh, this is so surreal. The crashing of those ashtrays falling into those bins. It seems like the death knell of the new generation, up-and-coming generation to learn their art in. Clubs and pubs shutting down all over the place. You know, nowhere for the new people to learn their art. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. Do you know what's going on? Neither do I. Shut up now. Hang on a minute. Do you remember the bloody recession? The recession on top of that. You know, all they want to do nowadays is just pay for a disco. You know, they could just play records all night, no sort of warming up or not warming up, and just not having anybody to have a rest for the vocal cords. Either that or a karaoke. Well, a karaoke's for fun. And it's there to enjoy yourselves and have a good time and have a laugh at each other. So what? It's great. Anyway. Can you see the grit on my boots? Do you know? Oh, sorry. Do you know, it's so much easier with a band. They can cover up your mistakes. It doesn't matter if you come in at the wrong time or the wrong time or whatever, the right time or whatever, they can cover up your mistakes. But with a backing track, you do have to make it spot on. There's no one there to help you out. It was great with the band. No problem, you know, they cover up your mistakes. And such like. I know what you're thinking. Well, she used the backing tracks. So what's wrong with that? Did I actually say that again? Anyway, I must take the glitter off these boots for God's sake. Yes, there we were.
You fucking tracks, you fake. What's the difference?
Pardon? Yes, that's right. Exactly what she said. I use backing tracks, so what's the difference? Well, the difference is you have to be spot on for a backing track.
You don't get the cue cards, do you, Corey?
enjoying themselves and having a good time. You know, relaxing and singing and dancing and whatever. You know? And here we are. The show must go on. And at 50... yes, and at 58, I'm simply doing my best.
Right, I'm up now, right, ladies and gentlemen, just to say thank you to Corey there, and just to let you know, charity begins at home, but over the years, sorry about the echo on this, by the way, I'll say it 3 or 4 times. Charity does begin at home, but over the years, the Labour Club have rallied together and supported many charities over the years. We've raised money for Help the Heroes from this stage. We've recently gave £2,000 to Crazy Hats Cancer Charity. Absolutely amazing. Give them a round of applause. Almost to the support. That was in the past. And briefly, just to let you know, on this Friday night coming, there is another charity night on here. Tickets are only a £5. Charity money that's raised going to local charities. Come along and support that. You'll enjoy that night, but you will enjoy this even better. We announced together, rock on stage, one of Corby's leading talents, one of the best female vocalists to come out of Corby. Let's hear it from Corey Gray.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. This is for you, every one of you out there. I want you to enjoy yourselves, dance, do whatever. Fire, I need you, hearts to fire. Come to the ground, me wild and wilder. When you come to me, give me everything I need. Like my promises, the world is grace. But the language of love, I don't know what it means. Always make it wrong. Take my heart and make it stay on the sing it! Take your best. Better than all the rest. Better than everyone. Everyone I am. Oh, stuck on your heart. And on every word you say. Oh, tear us apart. Baby, I would rather be there. In your eyes is a star. In your eyes, I get lost to watch the way. Just think I'm hitting your arm. I come in your face. Sing it to me. Better than all the rest. Every word you say. Oh, tear us apart.
of lives that knits the community together carries on as it always did. The women's group, She Matters, with their craft groups and counselling, the youth theatre, Shout, with its drama projects, Age Concern, and Helen King's dancers.
And the unions are still using the police for what was originally intended. There's a big meeting on here tonight, mass redundancies. Do you know what? Some things never change.
Okay, we've called this meeting to report back on the meeting that we've just had with the senior management of the company. As you know, we make all own brand products for Asco supermarkets, and they called us in today and they said that they were seriously considering locking the doors at the factory tonight. The supermarkets reckon that nobody is willing to pay the price that they would have to charge because of the wages that you're all earning. So, it's either shut the door or they have come up with two alternatives to save money.
But how already?
The first alternative we have is that we're going to make 15% of the workforce redundant.
No.
It's not last in, first out. Management will choose who they want. The second item is, if we don't want 15% redundancy, it's a 10% pay cut this year and possibly next.
Oh, you've been a great deal over there, haven't you?
Well, we only bring up the information to you. You're the union, you make the decisions. We wouldn't dream of making decisions on your behalf.
Come on, guys, we pay them to make the decisions forward.
Make redundancy!
Don't do any good, make one bad deal. Come on, guys, what can we do?
If it's a married couple, can we have one? If one of you is saying redundancy, the other one's saying 15%, can you? Which is it?
Anybody got any better ideas then?
Well, has anybody got any better ideas?
Boycott the supermarket for a start.
Good idea!
Well, we all know from the papers recently, I mean, the new supermarkets are opening, you know, 400 jobs of it supposed to be there. Other supermarkets, they're not laying anybody off. The two supermarkets are competing, hence the reason they're not willing to pay. They want to make the money for their companies and their shareholders. You're the ones that are going to have to suffer.
What about the manager?
Part-time work!
You want part-time working as well?
No,
So
we want it, that's
so
what
we want
it
10%,
is.
we want a 15% reduction in workforce, 10% cut in wages and part-time working.
What about the agencies in this?
Agency workers. Agency workers, they come and go. You know what it is? We have actually tried to get them into the union. You know, we're doing the best we can. We have a campaign on now. There doesn't seem to be a lot of support from the people that are working here to actually get them in, though. I can't imagine why. Sorry?
Agency workers out first.
Agency workers out first?
Yeah.
Well, of course, we put that to the management team.
And they'll say no.
Well, we did say all your agency workers will have to go before your full-time employees. Unfortunately, if you do that and you say we're still going to have to get rid of 15%, what happens if they then start bringing agency workers back in?
Be less money for you. As a union, you're supposed to be there doing our rates. What are you doing for us?
Your wages are all right.
10%, not 15%. Is that the best you can do?
So that we think that the best idea is a 10% reduction in wages.
Sack the union rep!
I'm not the union rep, I'm full-time. You're the union rep. Okay then. We don't have very much longer left. So what we're going to do is we're going to put this to the vote.
Redundancy!
Okay then. We have two choices. We'll ignore the part-time working, if that's okay. I don't want to confuse people by giving them three choices. So, the first thing is, we have two choices. One, 10% reduction in salaries this year and possibly next. And the second one is a 15% cut in the workforce, redundancies, hard redundancies. All those in favour of the 15% redundancies, put your hands up.
In favour?
You're on your own, Gary.
All those that think the 10% reduction in salary is a better idea, put your hands up.
Reluctantly.
I'm just checking. Okay then, we know where we're going now, and we shall go back to the company and tell them what you've decided. And I assume that as from next month, it's a 10% cut in salary. You made the decision.
If bricks could talk, that's what they'd say. Remember, 50 years ago, hundreds of ordinary folk paid a shilling a brick to build this club. Now, more than 50 years later, as we splinter into Facebook isolation, we need a place where the weaving of lives that knits a community together will carry on as it always did, face to face.
I'd like the cast to come on, because what we're going to do is what we always do after one of these shows.
Oh, we ain't got to form a circle, have we?
Yes. Form a circle and throw juggling balls, yeah. But no, there's a couple of people who are going to say a couple of words. I'll just remind you now about the bucket at the back, because all of this electricity costs, and we need to be able to pay for it tonight. And obviously it should be coming out of the Labour Club's pocket. So I'd like to invite, is Brenda Easton in the house? Where is she? Okay. Brenda's going to say a few words, and after that, Councillor Mark Bullock, who actually funded the whole project. So we'll hear from both of those.
How do you follow that? Just like to say a few words about this lovely renovation that they've had in the club. Paula and the Show Group come to me to see if I would help them do a render. To get some funding, and I puzzled about how Wren would fund a workmen's club. But once Paula started telling me about the club and the community spirit, I realised that they would buy into it. So although I wrote the bid, the heart and spirit of this club got the bid for you. So thank you very much for
If you live in Rockingham, you can look up and see the castle. You can see the Sunday's Arms, bricks and mortar history. In Corby, we've got something far more important than that. That has a sense of community and shared values. The Labour Club's always been at the heart of that, and it's going to be at the heart of that for the next 50 years as well, provided we all get out and help. And I must say, Paula, when I asked you permission to do this, and I said, come on. We can show Corby its very best, and we have done, and you have done it. I think Paula and the crew did a real
I'd be just really interested, because we have got, believe it or not, there are several people in the cast who've never performed before. So in terms of how the cast was brought together, I'm just really pleased. I think they've done really brilliantly. As I say, there's Mr. Donahue, I was interviewing him in the bar. Lots of you have been interviewed. There are interviewees here, and I'm really pleased that you're here. We've got the founder members, Stan Bolton and Ted Blakeston. There's Julian Blakeston here tonight. There's Rebecca Bolton here tonight. There's also a grandson. There's Daniel Bolton here tonight as well. I don't know if there are any of the founder members' kids, but that's, you know, showing what's going on. Kate Anderson has got some programmes. Unfortunately, we had a big problem. The coffee shop shut at 5. We got there at 5 past. So there are odd programmes around. If anybody's interested in the process, it's written on the programmes. But there will be more projects like this. And I was saying about the interviewees, so Mr. Donahue, and he had his two of his several charming daughters, Mary and Laura, who I would like to... lying around, right? And what fabulous singer, what fabulous narrator. I want to give them a really good, this is their first Between us, we have, the shops in Corby have no more Valium, they have no more France, they have no more, you know, all of this stuff, because the stress levels have been really high. Now, there's also somebody, and they didn't know I was going to do this. Could you come forward, Graham, please? Ted Blakeston, son of a miner and radiographer. Because Graham came to the Over 50s group. Some of the gentlemen in the cast are from the creative group at the core. And Graham said to me, I'm a pianist. That's what I do. I play the piano. And look what we got him to do. So, big round of applause. In the play so recently, she's found something. Do you want to?
Does anyone speak?
Okay, well, we'll leave it at the desk, and then Joyce at the desk will deal with that. The other thing is, obviously, we have the fabulous Corrie Gray. Love the experience. The bit that is really important is that we have, I'm not saying one end of the spectrum, there's Ellie. Come here, Ellie. What working men's clubs have done is produce talent like this and give them week in, week out experience of honing their craft. We have nowhere to hone this woman, and you heard her sing. Yeah? This is either end of the spectrum, that if we don't keep these clubs open, we're not going to have anywhere for that to happen. So I want a really big round of applause for our that couldn't be filled. Now, are the dance women still here? Yes. Right, I want you to come here, please. One of the biggest problems, can we have the lights on them then? One of the biggest problems is, did anyone notice there was only one slightly Scottish voice in the play, and that was when he wasn't playing a Yorkshireman? And that was Ian Cameron. Where are you, Ian? Come here. So Ian was holding the thread. Most of you know this club is peopled by Scots. I have had Scottish women falling out of this play. I mean, we've had, well, Brenda was in it once. Brenda was going to be one of the Scottish women, and it has gone one after the other. They've just fallen out. What we were trying to do was have this fabulous band of women that are sitting over there. You can't see them. If you all want to turn around, can you stand up at least, darling? There's no way we could be those women. Because they are just themselves. They gave us the lines for the dance scene. So we didn't just have research, we also had playwrights. And then, of course, we had the fabulous driver for Andy Sawford. So what you saw on stage for the election thing, Andy, you're here tonight. Was it reminiscent for you?
It was. I'm a bit bothered that Ian's daughter wasn't going to vote, though.
She's a postal voter.
Anyway, I could go on all night. It's just some of the wonderful things we've got here. Also, the fact that we managed to get trade unionists involved. Alan, could you come forward, please? If this man was Prime Minister, would we vote for him? Jen stepped in this morning at, I think I phoned you about 12:50, something like that. So that's the commitment of the people around this project. To finish off with, can we give Sean and Nick a fabulous round of applause on the technical? There's somebody in the audience that designed all of this, who didn't know I was going to say this either, but this fabulous sound and all the rest of it was designed by Sammy Scott, who's a technician sitting in the audience. So can we thank Sammy for doing that? I'd just like to give you an opportunity if there is anything anybody would want to say about how the play worked or whether it worked for you, because the cast have got no idea whether it's working. So if we could just have the house lights for about 10 minutes or so, that would be really good. I've forgotten one person, so I've just spotted him here. Well, you wouldn't mind coming to the stage with me, Martin? I want to introduce Martin O'Connor to Martin O'Connor. When we're talking about singing, wasn't it? So come to the stage cast, and if we could have the house lights, if anybody's got anything to say about whether it works or what you think of the play.
Go on, Mum!
This was the only time that it's going to be done, so you know it's quite important. Yeah, I think. And
Yes,
the lights, yes.
I knew your mum was there.
Yeah. So any
Paper roses, very good.
Very good. We wanted you to play it, Martin. Go on, give us a tune.
Oh, forgive me. Anyway, nice to see you.
And you, lovely to meet you. Lovely. There you go. Can somebody do house lights at the back? Thanks, Joyce. Yeah, any comments at all? Is one Yes. Hand up at the back there, Liz.
Well, I think you captured the heart and the humour of the people of Corby. Absolutely, 100%. Fantastic.
Yeah, they did. That's more like it, because you're all part of this. Okay?
Could you do the 100th one, please?